Ladies and gentlemen, with great pleasure I bring to you another great day of racing in Sim Racing Heat NSA Pro season number 5. And you have probably returned to this channel because you are hungry for more. And speaking of hungry, this is the track we will be racing on tonight. Yesterday's race saw a very interesting way to make a 1-2 seem like it was the worst result ever by the hands of McLaren Racing. And let's see who else will have calamity upon the team as we wait to see drivers navigate the usual 3 sectors and 14 turns of this beautiful track established in the 80s. It has changed, especially the last sector over the years, but has remained throughout, and with the addition of DRS, it stayed similar throughout the years, almost 17 years without a change. So this track is well known. It's at the heart of the great city of Budapest, inside Hungary, in the Eastern Europe, and with a great sector upon us, which is the first 3 turns basically. The second one is controversial, I'd say, especially from fast to very slow corners. And then obviously the 2 180-degree turns at the end of the lap. Very tricky to get the pit entry here right, and especially breaking into turn 1, as Max Verstappen demonstrated yesterday. Let's look at the lineup again for the upcoming race weekend. Red Bull has stayed the same. John Meister and Ferguson, Andy Andre and Kowalska are the Mercedes pairing for this season. Critical Damage and Scrat aka Kismikus at Ferrari. Pies has moved in from a reserve driver position to replace Nico Nocebo is at McLaren. Jan Pai is back tonight after missing some races, if I'm correctly informed. Chaza has also taken the position as a full-time driver in Aston Martin, as he has jumped in for them on the first, in both of the first races. Krankjok and Bosnian Helmet have been your Alpine pairing for the start and the current season so far. Jack, who is unfortunately missing tonight, and Moksha and the Williams once again. Control and Pleasant Snake, who is also missing tonight. Slayer and Katja. Katja only had his first race last time out, and he won't be here tonight. Zack and Supermax for Haas, and Supermax is only here, but we are missing Siak again. Okay, let's move on to the standings. Last time out we were in Montreal. That is obviously the host to the beautiful Gilles Villeneuve circuit, and it has been a very entertaining race. We had an early battle for the lead with Critical Damage against Andy Andre and at times John Meister, who unfortunately did not finish the race. And we had Bosnian taking on a 2-stop strategy after an early safety car. When Andy sat behind him and waiting for his opportunity to pass, because he still needed to pit again, as you can see, up until that hard stint. Bosnia was kind of in the disadvantage that he still needed to pit for a different dry tire. Then another safety car came out, caused by John Meister, and there was a fight. There was a sprint shootout basically for the last laps, and Critical was under pressure at first, but Andy needed to get a move on. Could not do this, but stood on the podium once again. Control, Moksha, and also Jack. Also in a fight for a very long time. Pleasant Snake was in this as well. They had struggles with time penalties in the midfield, so some got demoted. And Bob Williams is finished in a respectable position. Moksha behind Shaza. Then we had Fallison in P10. Only point scoring finish for Red Bull on this weekend. Pice, John Meister, also Slayer, Krankyok, and Supermax did not finish. Poor race from John Meister. Needed a good performance because Critical took 3 wins back to back to back and is currently your championship leader as we move on to the standings. That is not the correct version. Let me correct that. That is from that's from last time. Okay. Let me get that for you real quick. This one is correct. One second. Now it's correct. As you can see, Critical is 31 points ahead, and Jake, Pleasant and Pleasant Snake are missing today, so John Mice is his closest rival. Andy sitting there in P5 after not scoring in Spain and a mediocre result in Austria. Control has better pace than his results suggest. And there's a great mid-fight with Fellas and Bosnian Helmet, who scored big last time, Moksha, and also Shaza, 3 guys on 22 points. Move on to the teams. Ferrari is ahead by 9 points, and we have 2 teams on 69. Nice. And then there's a bigger gap to Racing Bulls, aka V-Carb, and closely followed by Mercedes. Obviously only the points from a couple of good finishes from Andy and some points from Moksha. Aston Martin in 6, Alpine 7, Dan Haas and Kicksauber again on 10 and 5 for McLaren, but they don't have any drivers for tonight. And we are going trackside for tonight's race. And hello, Quincy. There's barely any sound for me here. Just need to turn that up. Okay, so we are trackside now, as you can see, and it's an 18-minute qualifying session ahead of tonight's 50% race. Our drivers for tonight are Control in the V-Carb, and as I said before, Pleasant Snake is missing, so there is a lower points output achievable by this team. And Control is starting his lap now. The first one actually. Mercedes is again running with the usual lineup, and there's a moment for Supermax. No, that was Shumi Formula who is replacing Ziak today. So he had an off moment, but seems to be good to go again. Why are you guys writing in German? Anyway. Moksha is there as well, as there's another moment from Shumi Formula in the back. So we got Moksha and Andy. Kovatska, sorry. Moksha is in the Williams. And Supermax has retired, and that has happened in front of us. On the right hand side, on the exit of, basically turn 9, because he didn't really reach turn 10. As Control sets a 1 minute 15.5. 1.5. Very odd number. Still very satisfying to see. Fellas, in one of our home racers for tonight. Hungarian by heart and by soul, as Moksha improves to the time. He had a very good qualifying last time out. And John Meister's also... Oh, he has invalidated his lap, but he is out there as well. Then obviously Criticus still in the pit lane, as he always does. And Gizmokus is also in the pit lane, as we have another moment. No, Moksha is just going slow. And Gianpaio is back with Aston Martin tonight. Puts it on provisionable. Next is the second Aston Martin of Chaza, but he is just starting his lap. So I'm just staying with Andy here. And also Slayer is there, he's still in the garage. Krangjok still in the garage. And that's it basically. Good luck to Williams and Chaza, Jack says. And there's an improvement of 4 tenths over Gianpai from our current championship 5th in Andy Andre. And now it's Fellison, who is improving his time, 15.5. Yeah, no time at the sun, sorry. Second Mercedes now, and into P6, that's a 17.4. Not the greatest of runs. Is there another attempt for Moksha? Seems like it, so there's a second out lap. And Shaza is seemingly completing his lap. Was he impeded there by the struggling Shumi Formula, as Supermax and him had been... Oh, there's a Aston Martin 2.3 at the moment. There's a 15.2 from Chaza, and over the line goes John Meister to 14.9. Good effort by the Red Bull, trying to recover what happened last time out in Canada. Controls seem to be on another lap. And there's improvement for him as well. 6.10 for the Wii Cup driver. And he's up into the 14s as well. And he's very close. 31 thousandths of a second. In front. Behind. Behind Andy Andre. Gutted I couldn't race tonight. Yeah, I would have loved to see you racing. Especially to have someone maybe stop critical. And John Meister is like almost the same distance behind Control as Control is behind to Andy Andre. Moksha has improved to a 15.0. Next up, Slayer. Oh, he's starting a slap. Okay. And Gizmokus has left the pit lane. As has Critical. Pit stops for the Astons. Yeah. John Meister, that's an in-lap as well. Let's go with Slayer. Good exit out of turn 1 is Critical for top speed. Down the second actual straight. with a passing opportunity into turn 2. First sector is already completed. Now get the car in to the fast left-hander of turn 4, one of the best corners inside the Formula 1 track circuits, and now try to nail this corner, which looks very different in real life, as we just discovered yesterday on Friday and Saturday in qualifying. Second sector is completed and ending like it started, with a fast turn, this time a right-hander. And now these 180-degree turns. You just need to be patient before you hit the throttle. If you have an oversteering car, you lose out there. And there's Slayer over the line for a 15.8. And now let's go to critical. Let's turn down the volume a bit wide on the exit, but uses the maximum track width and is applying some extra power by the ERS system. In this game, hot lap mode isn't burning the battery that much, so you have some energy spare you can use wherever you want to. And I think that's maybe not really realistic, but it's a great tool to give the drivers more control, maybe. And especially if you need to compensate for maybe a bad exit or turn in, as Critical really pushes the car, almost loses it here. Loses it here, sorry. The Kicksauber makes way for him, and there's only one of the 14 turns left on this beautiful track, the Hungary. Critical over the line, and he goes to P4 with a 14.0, and I don't know if he doesn't seem to be happy about someone not letting him pass, but that is a wave of frustration, and he's only 121 thousandths of a second behind the current pole sitter in Andy Andre, who is completing a lap now. Doesn't abort it, but the sector time for 2. Oh, and he spins it! There's a spin for Andy Andre, but there's enough time to complete another attempt. Kovatska currently in P10. Crank York now improves. Kovatska improves as well to 69.99. A very odd time. Also satisfying to see. Next up is Fellerson. He is aborting a run. Kismuka is still on a 120.8. Schumi Formula hasn't even completed a lap so far. There's Chaza and his teammate. They are close together. And Chaza is aborting as Gianpai goes to 4th. And there are 4 drivers with a 14.9. What can John do? He goes to provisional pole position. Red Bull is on top once again. Control, what's with him? He goes to pole position as well. And by some margin. Over 1.5 tenths for him. The sister team is on top currently as Critica starts another lap. Oh my, John Meister found 3 tenths, but Control found half a second. What an effort by the V-Cup driver here. Is he trying to replace Fellerson at Red Bull? As it's Tsunoda or Ricciardo trying to replace Sergio Perez by the time the summer break hits, because he has only 1 race left to prove that he is not further than 100 points behind his teammate Max Verstappen, or worse than 5th in the Drivers' Championship. Let's see what Critical can find on his second attempt. Has done a cooldown lap. And there are 6 minutes to go. Plenty of time to complete 2, maybe 3 laps if you want. If you drive out now. Because this track is short. 14 turns and only 15 extra seconds on top for an outlap maybe. So 130 if you are being generous. And there's an improvement for Critical by over 3.5 tenths. And he goes to P3. Doesn't look like he's dominating tonight. But that was a used tire. And if you can find something on a fresher tire, he might as well storm to the top once again. Control has been in qualifying a real contender for some races in this young season, but he couldn't convert it. Time penalties in Austria and incidents in Spain saw him fall down the order. Who's next? Kismikus on an outlap. Control. Invalidation. Let's stick with Slayer. He's currently 3 tenths behind the next fastest, and that is Fallison. Judging by how the season has gone, as Krankock is retired, for time that is currently put him in P11, and Slayer seems to be doing another attempt here. Racing with the 43. Barely see anyone at this number. And Kismikus has spun. No, that's great. No, that's Kismikus. Is Slayer attempting a run now? He is. Kovatska attempting a run now. Fallison is completing one. Currently watching the back of his teammate. And he improves to 15.028, goes up into P6, and has improved by some good time. But I assume if that's not a fast in-lap, he is out for today. Let's go on board with Moksha, who had a good showing last time out, very good qualifying session. Looks up the front here a bit, just marginal. Very important to get this first turn right, as it compromises your top speed into turn 2. There are not very fast sections on this track, so a little bit aggressive over the curb. Oh, don't touch this one on the right hand side. Turn 5 is very nasty for your car. He's deep in there, he's pushing him maybe a bit too hard. 2 minutes 50 to go. I think he lost too much time here. Maybe pit again. He is actually faster, but not by much. And there's no time actually. Maybe with a cool down lap you can have another attempt here. Critical is not up. Fallison has retired. There's no more time for him to improve upon his time, and Moksha goes to a 14.8 and is 1,000 of a second ahead of Andy, who's just completing his lap as well. Goes to second, 14.5. Good attempt by the Mercedes driver, and is currently beating his Romanian rivals in John Meister and critical damage. As we watch from the outside, Control is in our picture. Let's see if he finds time. He's down. Might be another cooldown. Moksha is charging, but the fuel lamp is blinking, so I don't think there's a chance of improvement. Currently no one on an actual fastest lap. Both Haas starting from the back. with Schumi Formula not even setting a time. He is struggling massively as a Supermax. Couldn't keep the car out of the barriers. Gianpa and his new acquired teammate Chaza are now on a lap. Moksha retires. He messed it up. Was a bit too aggressive. And couldn't recover. Not enough fuel. Kowalska is in the pits as well. Andy is starting his final attempt. 30 seconds on the clock. Critical is over the line as well. Slayer's over the line as well. So that is the last driver to cross the line, being able to finish a lap now. And there's a white moment for Chaza. Let's see what his Sector 2 time suggests about his qualifying performance. And he is down by 6 seconds. That is done for him. And 3.5 tenths up is his teammate. And that might promote him currently into 3rd position or higher if he can stick it. That would be a great run from Gianpai to come back here and put it on pole. What can he do? He's currently 6th on the grid. Is the improvement? Yes, he goes to P5. Very good effort for him. For now, 14.698. John Meister goes to 2nd. 0.5 for him here. Control. Has he improved? He goes even faster by 9 thousandths of a second. Is there an answer from Andy? He is slow. No. What about Critical? Can he snatch away pole position from Control? He needs 2.5 tenths. And he does it. He does it by some margin as well. 3 tenths he found there. And Slayer was over the line as well. That was a sub 2. Critical damage on a 14.199 for pole position as he snatched it away from the home hero of Control at the end of this qualifying session. And the other 2 Romanians follow him to Gianpai, then Moksha, Fellison, Chaza, Slayer went to P9. Then it's Kovaska, Krankjork, retired early in the session. Kismakus only able to do 1 time lap. And both of the Belgium drivers at the back for Haas. That's going to be a tough race for them to claw points or even good positions, because you really can't overtake here. Critical seems to be doing everything in his power to make sure he is gonna be back-to-back champions with Ferrari. We await the break they usually take to conclude, and then we will be heading straight into it. If that qualifying is anything to go by once again, then there's a high chance Critical is going to take 4 wins out of the first 5 races, and that is an impressive feat once again. He had some races traded with a Nordic at the start of last season, and there was still a chance before Nordic was absent for 2 races because of math exams when we hit race 14 out of 17. So yeah, Andy suddenly turned into the driver that was chasing him, but in Singapore, Critical needed to be a bit behind Andy, and Critical had the easiest race of his lifetime, was cruising out there and touched the ERS button on lap 29 for the first time when he restarted the race after late safety car. Critical also won the World's Constructors Championship in Season 3 and did that back to back, won his first championship last time in Season 4 and is looking to repeat his dominant form with Ferrari despite his teammates being changed. Kovalska was swapped out, is racing for Mercedes now, and Kismukus is in. Patterson has changed his tire strategy because the hards are now back in his garage compared to the softs. And there we go to 5 red lights for race number 5 here from Hungary. And the lights are out and we are on the way. How close is it at the start between Critical and Control? And John Meister is trying to go around the outside of Control. There's a slight understeer moment from the V Cup drivers. Andy is watching them from behind. He has an Aston Martin on his inside. And they are trying to go toe to toe with each other. Most of the drivers on mediums, only Kismukus and Supermax on the hards and Krankjörg on the softs. As we make our way through the first sector on lap 1 with no rear end collisions or tangle ups. And there's been a spin by Schumi Formula in turn number 5. Suggested a 1 or 2 stop. I don't think a second medium is gonna be the play, nor the soft, because these tires are dreadful in this year's game, depending on what tire compound it represents, because the soft for C3 is way different than this C5. And I think we are running C4 to 2 here, so softer variant. John Meister is looking racy there. Could hang on to his second place gained at the start, and he's putting pressure onto Critical. He can't chill out here. And there's been a DNF for Schumi Formula, and there's a virtual safety car being called for this race. Just gonna need to just sound here because the cars are screaming a bit in my ear. And this hasn't been turned into a full course safety car. I've seen that multiple times on this game already. So the biggest thing to do right now is to avoid a drive-through penalty, because this track has a lot of corners per kilometer. And you need to be aware that the tire delta goes into the negative the faster you go through a corner. And John Meister needs to time it perfectly now to not lose the DS, because it is activated, and when the VSC is reset and greens are shown again, you can instantly use DRS if you were inside the car in front of you and inside the DRS window, obviously. Yeah, slow down moment there for John Meister, as he's been almost collected by the V car behind him. DS is enabled and we are racing once again. There are green flags shown by the marshals and we are racing. And Andy Andre has just got it wrong. He briefly lost it. Oh, wrong car, sorry. Briefly lost it, is now back into it. And is trying to get away from Jianbai, who's almost on the verge of losing it as well. You can't really overtake if your guy in front is DS as well. Another spin and another virtual safety car caused by Chaza. Another spin by someone. In the second sector, exit of turn 9 to 10. And that's a missing front wing for the car with the 21. As John Meister pits! What is he thinking here? Two-step is certainly not the way to go. He goes for the hard tires. Wouldn't surprise me if they last till the end. And that's a very cheap pit stop. That is very interesting. Needs to make sure you can go through the field. And there is also the hard tire for Chaza now. As control is obviously now second. And Andy Andre has been promoted to third. And we are racing once again. Control is close to the Ferrari. One thing I love about league racing the most is that different cars of color and their liveries are being shown in front if someone who is fast has picked their car. And with this year's V Cup, it's a beauty, so yeah, only the Alpine is rather ugly in my personal opinion. As the top three make their way onto the start-finish straight, is there an opportunity presented to Control? Yes, and he takes the lead into turn 1. Don't lock up, he goes wide. There's a repass opportunity, a counter-attack maybe for the Ferrari. Can he go down the inside? He's not under pressure from Andy Andre. And John Meister has dispatched Gizmo as he's trying to warm tires. Not painfully slow when going behind a full course safety car. You can occur some track limit warnings and penalties on this track as well. Especially turns 4 and 11 on both of the outsides. And you need to make sure, dear Control, that you don't do that once again, just like in Austria. Behind that there has been a gap opened by Slayer to Kovac's car. Maybe that was also before the first VSC hit. He is currently 3 seconds behind there. Control with a new fastest lap as this train up until Slayer in P8 is currently featuring drivers that can win it. Gap to the lead car is 14 seconds, so that's less than a pit stop. And John Meister has probably saved 8 seconds by pitting under the VSC and has now posted the fastest lap of the race early on, despite the mediums being totally fresh. But if you are inside this car of trains, you probably don't have clean air to make any moves in terms of fastest lap, because you immediately run into fighting the next car in front, as Fallison almost had a slip there and lost the car. And this is so close together. For the top 6. And Krankel already with a 3-second time penalty. Is there dive by Fallison? He attempts it. Feels like he's maybe faster than Moksha had. Almost opened up the door for Slayer. Gobolska and Krankjog have a very lonely race up here. Let's go to the Alpine. Isn't using any of his ES though. There was an opportunity for Krankjog to pit. And the VC. Oh, and he spins! And he loses his front wing, and that might be another VSC. Is he stuck? Ah, well, there was enough space to the Ferrari. He is far out on the outside line there, so I think that's why there's no VSC. But don't spin it immediately on the grass, please. Yeah, we caught that right in the act. I was hoping I was seeing John Meister making a mincemeat of him, as Chaza is overtaking him now. Oh, and there's a lockup from Critical. Is there an overtaking opportunity for Andy now? Oh, there's a lag from Critical. There was none deployment of the ERS for Andy Andres, so I assume he didn't think there was an opportunity for him there. Also, the Mercedes, very beautiful car, but I don't get why they just refuse to do the numbers in like fully white and just have the outline of the black be the borders. But hey, also wish the numbers were on the sideboard, because shark fin is barely seeable. 10-second time penalty for Krankjork, maybe also retiring early in this race because he's being lapped. And points are unlikely. Last season and previous performances have shown that he is not anywhere near the top guys, or even the points. This is just time trial with your friends, basically. And I think Krankjork make way there for John Meister into turn 1. Let's see the gap to P1 again. 12 seconds. It has come down. And that is very crucial. Tires are gonna last very long, I expect. So the worst thing for John Meister that can happen is that there is a safety car at the time where the hearts are in a way better shape when you pit onto them. And I would put my finger in the wound there for John Meister if that would happen, because that could be at any stage, because these tires are gonna last a lot of laps. And he is trying to pull them to the end through, so that's like 40 No, 33 laps, sorry. And that would be a huge distance to be covered. And obviously, if that is achievable, then the other drivers who are currently out. And another 10-second time penalty. And Craig York has decided to quit it, just like Gasly did in the last 2 times. He was trying to start a race. Has no out fame. One error here and you lose a lot of positions. Because also Kovačka and John Meister are not far from it. Hitting the curb a bit too hard, running on the grass. You name it, and then you are gone. Just switching between the cars here. John Meister's closer now. So let's see that. And the gap has come down by another whopping 1.3 seconds compared to where he was behind the leader 1.5 laps ago. He's pushing hard. Current sector time was 8 tenths slower than his previous best. But I assume he used a lot of his tires as Critical goes for an overtake, and Moksha was trying to battle with Allison and stayed behind, and Critical seems to be realizing he maybe needs to get a move on. There are still opportunities for safety car to be out here and turn things around, but as I have said before, Hearts will go the distance at any stage now. After lap 7 maybe even already. And John Meister really needs... If there's a safety car, he needs it probably at the end. So when the soft tire might be the best choice. Because I won't think anyone has the second Hearts selected at the start. And he's now being held up by Kovačka in the second sector. And Slayer lost massively to Ferguson now. 3 seconds somehow. And that was the mistake I was trying to tell you about. Kovačka went wide, Slayer into the pits, so there was maybe damage. Damage to him, we will see about that now. Ferguson's teammate John Meister is now trying to overtake his countryman. And he does so, and now there's a Red Bull 6 and 7. And there's a front wing change for the Kicksauber. So there was something happening on the last or second to last lap there. And John Meister, as you can see, has pulled up. And is within 8 seconds of the leading group. Which by themselves are within 1.5 seconds. What? Yeah, 1.5 seconds plus Ferguson, who's a bit back now. As we approach pit stops quite soon. Yeah, as I said, John Meister needs to hope that no one of these drivers is making an error that costly. We have Kismakus. Oh, yeah, and I wanted to say Racing Supermax. But that didn't happen. That didn't happen because when I switched him, spun out, and Control has retaking the lead. Really hard to see and say when they are trying to overtake us. John Meister has now passed Ferguson because he has gone into the pits as has Kovačka. So there is an overtaking opportunity by an undercut from Ferguson. So just keep that gap to the leader. And I think some of these drivers will be surprised by how much they will gain or lose now. Let's see if anyone thinks there is a pit stop worthy of an answer to Ferguson, because he was not directly in this group. That has been now shrunken to 5 instead of 7 cars. That's a white moment from control. That might be a warning for track limits. He needs to be wary about this. Cosmicus 3 seconds, who's pulling into the pits. Jianpai and Moksha are doing it now. Oh, don't lose it, Moksha. As Critical goes for a repass the lap after. Down the inside goes the Ferrari. Is there an counter attack lining up for the V-Cup of control? No. And John is into P4. And now Fallison is on the verge of overtaking Jianpai and Moksha. There they come, and he has done it. He has undercut them by over 2.5 seconds. And he has fresh and warm tires. That is very crucial at this stage. And now there's been a change for position between Chaza and Supermax as well. And by that, Fallison just gained 2 positions. And you can see why Red Bull has such a strong lead in the real world as well, because their strategy team also in the virtual races here is or has been on point. The Supermax receives a 3-second time penalty. Gizmo is into the pit lane after his spin. And now Andy Andre pits. Control hasn't. And Critical is trying to get away from him. And I think they are at risk of being overtaken as well. John Meister obviously moves past. What about Fallison? Was that undercut strong enough to get more than these 2 positions? Andy is moving again. Will it be closer at the exit? He has so much more speed. And Fallison goes through. And the Hungarians. She and the light as Moksha goes to the inside. No, he cannot complete the overtake. Is that second chance into turn 2. As he was trying to get past by Jianpai. But no, the Williams has to stay behind for now. And there's been a spin by Slayer, who's onto the grass. Too early on the throttle probably at the exit of turn 2. But no chance of a safety car. And Fallison is now under pressure from these 3 cars. But he has jumped them, and he can do John Meister a huge favor by holding them up. And there's been a 3-second time penalty. God damn it, Fallison! No, I'm joking. And the top 2 pits. John Meister's gonna lead this race after pitting under the virtual safety car for hard tires. His are gonna be 12 laps older than the ones from the people behind him. Is Fallison jumping them as well? Critical stays in front of Control. Is one of these drivers overtaking Fallison? Overtaking all of them! He has overtaken all of them! It's a Red Bull 1-2! What a strategic masterclass so far for the team from Milton Keynes. Is there a chance now for the walking outfit that has been Force India and Racing Point for the last couple of decades between the 2000s and 2020s, and is rebranded to Aston Martin as we know it. And Andy Andre is now into 5th, and Critical has been demoted to 6th place. Control, and he is himself cannot believe it how many cars they have to overtake now, and the cars and the tires are only a couple of laps younger. As Moksha has now made it past Jianpai, also overtaken by Andy Andre because there was a mistake by Aston Martin. They have used some of their charge. John Meister really hasn't, but maybe he needs to get a move on. I don't know how much time he wants to waste being out there, because he needs his teammate to hold him up. And that's going to be a very tough choice. A Supermax is spun. I think Critical is on the verge of overtaking Jianpai. Nope. Every lap longer now that it takes for Critical and Control to put pressure onto John Meister is a win. Their tires are roughly 11 laps younger than from the Red Bull in front, who's currently leading his teammate by 11.4 seconds. But if you can't overtake here, not only the teammate of the current leader of this race, but the rest behind him, you are in serious trouble. And I really have to ask and question the choices of Red Bull, of Racing Bulls, V-Cup I mean, and Ferrari to wait for them to be undercutted, not by Fallison, who was in early, who overtook 2 people, and then to wait another lap after Andy has pitted. Obviously, you're on the driver's seat, but you cannot let this happen. And now there's an alternative line for Fallison, and Moksha is now taking second place. There's no DRS for the Red Bull. Is Andy gonna try it as well? He's losing 2 positions at the moment. There's Critical in the background. The Mercedes seems to be ahead, and Control is trying to make it through as well. So Gianpai loses another 2 positions. Fallison has been overtaken by 2 as well. He's still on the inside. That turns to the outside now for turn 3. But there's no traction for him as he seems to be struggling more on this tire at the moment. And he has some work to do because the next cars are behind. And Moksha has already dispatched a bit of his performance. If he can get faster to John Meister than Critical and Control yet, there might be a major and debut victory for Moksha on the table. And if there's one track you want your debut win to be on the cards, it's gonna be this one. Because so many drivers, Jens Button, Fernando Alonso, Esteban Ocon, Damon Hill, and also, just recently yesterday, Oscar Piastri have taken their maiden win on this beautiful racetrack, and Moksha is dispatching the time to John Meister by half a second, and he has put in the fastest lap, only to be beaten by some margin by Critical in the back of this train that was just a couple of hundreds. Okay, 310, sorry. I misread the positions. Thought there was a 0.7 to 0.9. Anyway, good attempt to get away. And he is still there behind. That's double of the charge. Fallison really needs to put in like lean or something. Or like none. There's been so much excitement, I just need to get a sip on real quick. If you really look at the big picture here right now, there are 3 cars at the back fighting. Position wise, that's 8th, 9th and 10th. Then we have 2 cars who are completely out of everything in P11 and P12. And then the rest is just John Meister running away from this whole gaggle of cars. From P2 to P7 as Critical is trying to make it past Fallison. But not without him ghosting and shoving Fallison off the track. Is he gonna like this? He lets him through. He's not gonna send it again. Here's Kismukas, the Ferrari teammate, receives another company. And the gap is down to 9.1 seconds. And we have almost 15.5 laps to go. After John Meister has now completed the second sector for the 20th time. Critical has 2 more cars to dispatch. But one of them is Andy Andre. I don't think Moksha is gonna let him pass as Control moved out there. And he is surely feels a bit frustrated now because he needs to get past Fallison, who has already lost the DRS. I don't know what his management of the ERS is here for Fallison. doesn't really seem to be great. As Andy Andre goes for the attack on the inside of Moksha. Two of the Mercedes-powered teams. As Chaza goes back into the pits. 16 laps on the hards. Maybe fancies a last stint on the mediums to also get the fastest lap. And Moksha needs to play it patiently here. Because if he allows Critical to get past, there's an opportunity that they maybe crash. And he has a chance to capitalize off of that. But he obviously does not know this. This is a high pressure, high focus situation. And anything regarding a spin or whatever would be quite crucial at the moment. As Slayer is chasing down Kovaska. And also Supermax has pitted. Goes things on for this lead. Control puts in a new fastest lap of the race. And has caught up to Critical, as you can see. And the gap has come down to 7 seconds. Less than 7 seconds. So if you're John Meister here, I don't think that was the right call at any stage. And he goes off track there. And Gianpai has lost out to control, is 2 seconds behind now. And under pressure from Fellison, who will probably finish in 7th with his penalty. Can look at it right now. Supermax and Kismikus at the back with 6 each. Only Fellison with 3. 2 positions each for John Meister and Andy Andre. 3 down for Critical and Control. 3 up for Moksha. 3 up also for Supermax. Positions held by Fellison, Slayer, and also Gizmogus. Only 2 stops for Chaser here at the moment. And this is the tire life at the moment. And the gap is down to 6 seconds. A second per lap. And Critical has lost the DRS to the guys in front. Critical has front wing damage on his left hand side. On a track where most of the turns are right hand side. That is crucial. That is maybe keeping him away from the win now. As Slayer has almost overtaken Kovatska and just loses it again on the exit. I think that was maybe lap 20 or 21. Because that was a sign, I think. And now it's 23 for Slayer. T1 spin. Runs wide here as well. So it's actually up between John Meister, Andy Andre, and Moksha. And Control needs to make sure he gets past here because Critical is gonna hold him up massively. And obviously John Meister doesn't know about this. The gap has stayed the same. Is Moksha trying to overtake the car ahead? Critical defends the inside. Gizmo's 10-second time penalty. Control around the outside for 10-2. Is there switch back from the recap? As Critical blocks the middle of the road. He needs to get past these guys. Because Critical does not have the pace now to stay with the top group. And it's 5.6 seconds now. I think John wishes for a safety car probably right now. Because fresher tires with 11 laps to go would be a much, and leading the race, which would be a better neutral restarting point, safety car restarting point, than trying to fight tires that are double the age of the guys behind him. Control, are you trying to overtake Critical on this lap into turn 1? You are not. He's very close to him. He uses his ERS down the inside of turn 2, but there's no gap left by the Ferrari, and Gianpai is back with them again, and Critical is holding up control, so there might be a huge swing of points because John Meister is in P4 in the standings and is currently gapping Critical by 13 points. Control has the fastest lap. Moksha is driving a fantastic race. He was on podiums 5 or 6 times in the second half of last season, and most of the time when I interviewed him, he said, look, I've been lucky. People with more pace in front just didn't show up. That was basically the verdict for most of his races. And I tend to agree with that. You still have to be in the position to capitalize off of that, as Control is now overtaken Critica and is free to close the gap of 2 seconds to the guys in front. And Moksha really found pace, had a good opening race in Spain, crashed out in Austria, and in Canada last time out. He was right in the fight at the front of the field in qualifying, and then had less penalties and capitalized off the drivers around him. And Jack is gonna cheer him on because he's missing today. But Williams will have great points as Control loses control. Oh my word, and he goes off again. The tires are dirty, my friend, watch out. And that's a disaster. With 9 laps to go, he finally got past Critical. I was looking to close down the gap, and there has been a mistake by Kovatska exiting the chicane, as he's now been overtaken by Shaza. And Gianpai has overtaken Critical. I was just trying to see what his fastest lap was. Shaza, 2 tenths behind, okay. And the gap is less than 5 tenths to P1, 5 seconds to P1 now for Andy and Moksha. And Andy is gonna, everyone in front of Critica is wanting this win right now. And Gianpai has realized he needs to get on, as Control tried to do, but then fucked it. Can Andy spoil the Hungarian party? Currently it's being spoiled by 2 Romanians and a German. And there's also an Italian in P4 for the next Romanian. I think the highest placed Hungarian right now is Control, who is already caught up to Critical. Or more races of these where Critical has maybe a bit of tough luck, and then the thing is blown wide open. I'm interested to see, as there's another oversteer moment for Control, when Moksha is gonna make his move. Same ERS battery, but always has the DRS. Because the gap is now less than 4 seconds with 7 laps to go. And he needs to maybe pass Andy before they fight for P1 with John Meister. Because if you are behind someone that is fighting another guy in front of you, you are at risk of running into them because they're gonna be slower than you, as Fellison has received his second 3-second time penalty. And now all of these drivers you are currently seeing on your screen have a 6-second time penalty. Okay, Kismakus has also sped in the pit lane, but Yeah, just cut that one out. And there's a spin from Supermax. And there's another spin by Kismukus. And everyone till Kovaska has been lapped by at least John Meister. Moksha is going for it. He doesn't really commit to the fullest, but there's a lockup by Andy. Is there an opportunity into turn 2? He's using his battery to make sure he can get ahead. Another spin by Kismukus. And just hoping there's no safety car. And 10-second time penalty for exceeding and then cutting the corner. This is gonna be so spicy. 3.7 seconds. The thing is, even if you battle hard on this game, the hard's not gonna make you feel this. Like if you maybe like Silverstone or just a high-speed track in general, the wear is not really high on this year's tire models, so realistically speaking, John Meister, yeah, probably still pushed his tires at the front, but even this slight battling here at the back is not gonna feel like they have 20 lap old hard tires now. Control is really suffering now from the fact that Gianpai cannot close the gap to guys in front. And he needs to find a way to get past. As Moksha is now on the inside. Attempts to the outside again. For 10-3. And there's been a spin by Fellison. Bad to worse. Despite it still being P7. And the next car 30 seconds behind. Moksha is thinking about the moves. But he really needs a good place to make it stick, make it count. No chance of a counter-attack from Andy. And currently the gap is stabilized with 4 seconds. And they still need to get past John Meister. Now Gianpai has left the 2 cars behind him a bit in the dust because he has closed the gap by 7/10 on the last lap. Just by these 2 battling in front. And Critic has less power of the DRS now. Moksha is going for it! He's on the inside. 4-10-1. And he has completed the move. Is there counter from Andy? No, there's currently not. Control has overtaken. Critic is now down to 6th position. And now it's Moksha against John Meister's old tires. How much? And he has so much more battery. Why did he not use it? Obviously he doesn't know how much Moksha has, but... Oh, don't overdo it now. It's gonna be 4 laps where they need to find a way into the DRS zone, because you need to be for the final opportunity inside the DRS window for the start of lap 35, as Supermax has received a 3-second time penalty, because into turn number 1 on lap 35 on the last lap, there's basically your final attempt. Except the car in front loses it massively on the accident, then there's a chance for turn 2 maybe. But other than that, maybe a dive into turn 12 or the chicane, not sure. Moksha needs Andy not to fight, and Andy needs Moksha to go faster so he can have enough time to re-overtake him, so he's taking his chances. Do you want the guy in front of you to catch first place? You can be first or second again, because Andy is probably, without a mistake, not going to finish outside the podium. And they've closed down the gap. Moksha is hunting the Red Bull of John Meister. And how great would that be for the Williams team that have been in such misery for so many years after the departure of Frank Williams and his daughter Claire Williams. They have not been in glorious times at the wheel together at Williams, but there were some good races for this team. And I think the last victory at the hands of someone in the Williams was probably Pastor Maldonado. And before that, some races from Juan Pablo Montoya. So that was some time ago. Juan Pablo Montoya was like 20 years ago. And 12 years. So, and Control is trying on the outside to make it past Gianpa. And they collide. There's a touch. There's a 3-second time penalty for Control. And he lets them pass again. And now Critical is also benefiting from this time penalty. And there's now a 2.4 second gap to the leaders. What about the ERS management from John Meister? It's still decent. I can't believe that this is the best strategy. And I don't think they even like race so much. If Moksha believes in his tires, he needs to use overtake ERS for the next lap. And also hot lap to get the maximum out of this car on the straights. 2 laps to go at the Hungarian Grand Prix between John Meister in first and second place Moksha, and closing in is Andy as well as Control re-overtakes Gianpa. Is there a counter attack for the Aston Martin? No, there's not, but he has the position anyway. And there's a good use of the ERS now. And Moksha needs to nail this second sector, where the tires are probably going to feel way better than John Meister's ahead. But he is running out of time. That extra attempt on Andy might have cost him a debut win. And John Meister gets a 3-second time penalty! Moksha's out to the win now! Oh my word, John Meister, don't throw it like this! Can you believe it? On the second to last lap, he receives a 3-second time penalty and is losing the win he has fought so hard for from lap 4 onwards. After he pitted on a virtual safety car to go to hard tires. And Moksha is inside the DRS window now. And he might launch it down the inside as well. He's close to Moksha, but there's no chance if the car in front is DRS as well. And there is gonna be... Oh, he's slow! John Meister! No! Moksha! Moksha! He crashes out! He has crashed out! And Andy is taking it! Andy has taken the lead on the last lap! Oh my word! Oh my word, Moksha! No, 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 not like this! John Meister has left the session on top as well! Not Gianpa is gonna be second now. Just keep it on the track, mate. Oh my word, I just can't believe Moksha lost it on the exit of the first corner on the last lap before hitting his debut win. Control is overtaking John Meister because he's a ghosted car. The gap to the leader. It's enough. It's currently enough. Gianpa is close to the penalty of Control. And after what I cannot believe just happened, Andy Andre is gonna take the first win of this season. His teammate has lapped and has crossed the line, and there's a Mercedes win in Hungary again. Control is second, but Gianpa is replacing him because of penalties and critical damage. With an absolutely horrible race because of his damage, front wing is actually taking third place. John Meister's disconnect has helped him or not helped him stay in P5. Verstappen is 6 with over a pit stop behind. Chaza is recovering his 7th position. I just... Did they touch? That's the only thing I'm asking right now. Did John Meister and Moksha touch there? Because John Meister was going slow. And then the exit, they were like less than 2 tenths next to each other. And Moksha still needed to complete his lap. Oh my word. What the fuck? My heart is ripped to shreds for Moksha, honestly. He did everything right. He did it better than everyone else. Made moves when it counted, and now it has ended like this. John Meister was slow going into turn 1. Maybe a lockup. I don't know really. The camera view wasn't perfect. And then just on the exit, the Williams just steers off. And the front wheel is gone. And Andy Andre is gonna take this with delight. As there's Gian Pai for his first podium. And Critical is gonna be third there as well. Not what John Meister needed. Or any of the drivers behind. Oh my word. This is beyond crazy, honestly. Oh my word. Okay, we're gonna head to a quick break and then interviews. So be right back.
Hello.
Hey.
Okay, everyone is here, so let's get this going. We are back for some drivers' interviews after what I cannot describe as more crazy. I don't know what words to find for this, but Andy Andre is going to take his first win of the season. Andy, I don't think you expected that with 2 laps to go. Moksha is overtaking you quite early into the late stint. And there was John Meister, obviously late penalty there, but then still you had the Williams in front, and there didn't seem to be a passing opportunity. But then turn 1 of lap 35 happened, and suddenly you are winning this race. Tell me how you feel right now, and share some thoughts on turn 1, please, for me.
Uh, Thank you. And I don't know, it was a good race. I didn't expect the win. Honestly, it's such a tough track to get around with so many people. Uh, I don't know. I don't remember the question. Honestly, I'm that tired.
That's fine. I'm lost as well. Just talk me through it. I'm just gonna pick this up now. There was a moment when there was you behind Critical, and then John Master obviously pitted under the virtual safety car. You were out there, and then you got in the position to undercut both of the front running cars, but then all of the guys behind you in that group of 7 cars just undercut you, and there was like a whole bunch of you around going for like 25 or more laps. And then obviously this chance opened up with Critical having damaged, and you made some passes as well, and then you were in the mix with Moksha, and you started pulling away. How was this, especially a strategy with no like real safety car, but the VSC coming out? How was that for you?
Honestly, I'm not used to giving strategy so much thought. We usually have a late safety car, and then it's just a sprint to the end. But today, the pit stops, the timing really mattered. The undercut was surprisingly powerful, and just one lap short of the guys in front, and I comfortably got the position on both of them. And I managed to keep it. They were the most I was afraid of Critical and Control. They showed tremendous pace. Honestly, I didn't expect John Meister to keep his tires so good at the end, so I wasn't worried so much about him. But in the end, yeah, he was the one who almost got the win. And about Moksha, he also showed tremendous pace. He kept the pressure constantly, pushing me from behind, and managed to get by eventually. And I didn't plan on attacking right after he got through. I was planning to save it for the last lap, but then we got into traffic, and I was worried he was gonna also get DRS, and I was gonna have to settle in for P3. But as you said, in the last lap, he made a mistake, and John sadly had to give up the race, and I got stuck with the win.
Yeah, that was certainly very entertaining. Yeah, you got this win finally on the board. You had a more rougher start than in previous seasons as well. So is this like some sort of momentum you're gonna pick up, or is this like more a worrying call to you because like Moksha wasn't really there for most of the season? It's still young. This is only race 5, but the group of cars that was there on pure merit, on pure pace. So are there more contenders for Belgium now, or was this just due to the track being like this really hard to overtake and just follow behind in the DS training and you will be fine?
Uh, well, I don't know what to say. The qualifying was tough. There were about 5 or 6 very fast cars and a similar pace. So yeah, the performance gap to Critical Damage, who has been the benchmark lately, I think has dropped a bit. So yeah, interesting races ahead. If we keep this momentum up, we might hope for a fair win in the future.
Yeah, that is gonna be certainly interesting. Jack also missing tonight. There was also no Bosnian, so if this was with 10 cars, I'd probably gone to the mental asylum by now. Thank you very much for your insight and see you next time in Belgium.
Thank you.
Next on the list is Aston Martin driver Gian Pai for second place tonight. Congratulations on your first podium here.
Good evening. Thank you. I now speak English very well. Okay.
Yeah, that's no problem. We get this done. So
Thank you.
you had a good race. You were in that fight all the time in the top 7. You were looking strong. There were a lot of battles, a lot of fighting going on. And obviously, there was the strategy that was very important as Red Bull Fallison pitted and tried to undercut all of you. You were in the mix. How was the tire situation for you? How did you feel about it when the pit stops came up?
It was a difficult race with the hard tire. I didn't have a good feel with hard. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I happy with the result at the end.
Okay.
Second state, very very difficult for driving my car.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I get that. How was the race for you when you looked at how much of fast guys were in front of you? You were there at the start of the season, then you missed a race or two. Now you were in this top group of cars. How were you surprised by how far you were? How fast you were?
A surprise for me.
Yeah, were you surprised that you were in the group of faster drivers? It's fine. We can skip the question. I'm just gonna ask you,
Okay.
what do you like the track in Belgium, and if so, what do you expect from this race next week?
Next week, the track I'm good. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
This is not good for me. For my my style. Okay.
Okay.
Hungary no good.
Okay.
Okay, I love and I hope a good result for next week.
Okay. Then I wish you the best and speak to you next time. Goodbye.
Okay. Goodbye. Thank you.
Next up is our current World Drivers Champion and Championship leader in critical damage. That was some tough laps out there at the end with a damaged front wing. You had a very good, as usual, qualifying performance. You put yourself 3/10 at top of everyone else. And then there was, things happening all around you. And I'm certain were surprised by Sonny Fellison and everyone behind you undercutting you. So let me get your view upon how the race felt for you, and especially that critical moment for the pit stop phase when there was lots of positioning change when you guys pitted for the hards.
Hi. Yeah, I'm quite happy with the qualifying performance. I didn't expect to be actually on pole at all because I only managed to practice a bit today. But the race started well for me. I think me and Control were controlling the pace. But I was actually quite surprised by John pitting so early for hards. I didn't get that actually. I was very very surprised and stopped worrying about him, which indeed was a big mistake after all. And then I got undercut by not only Moksha and Jampai but also by Andy. And that made my race extremely difficult. I think after I pitted, I was P6 or P7, something like that. And then I got past a few people, but then I was right behind Moksha and Andy while they were battling, and I am not sure what lap that was, maybe 21st. And I think in turn one they were side by side. Moksha braked a little bit earlier to not hit Andy, and I went straight into his back and broke my wing. So from that moment onwards, I just hoped for a safety car, but I was starting to feel okay about the P6 until the last lap.
Yeah, that was certainly looking like P6, but then worlds collided and the universe decided, okay, this is gonna be very different from what it looked like 2 laps ago. So I guess that's pretty much what you call damage limitation. Obviously, you're still like at the front. John Meister finished behind you. Jack was not here. Pleasant was not here. So there are jumps by Andy and also by people behind that were close, also sometimes in the race in the previous rounds, but you are still comfortable out there. What are your thoughts and feelings for Belgium? Are you just gonna make sure you dominate this from start to finish and just run away before things like this happen again?
Well, in an ideal world, that would be the plan. But the guys are so fast this season. It's not easy to break the DRS. As you saw this race, we were I think before the pit stops, we were, I don't know, 6-7 guys in a DRS train. So I don't see how Belgium would be different. But hopefully with more practice and some time to start the strategies and maybe not get surprised by an undercut, that would be lovely. But hopefully next race it will go better for me.
Yes, okay. I'm certain we speak to you again soon. So good luck for Belgium and speak to you next time.
Thank you. Bye bye.
And on to the most unluckiest driver probably on this day, Moksha. That was probably the track someone like you would have loved to get that debut win, just like many other greats of the sport have done in Hungary on the Hungaroring. This time you only missed it by 1 lap, and I'm sure you're devastated. But please take us through your race and how it was until that point, because you have been on it seriously the last 2 races, and there's no shortage of podiums coming if you keep this up. So let me get your view on how it was for you.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun race, tight racing, fun group to race with, very fair racing. At the end I really messed up, and you can't imagine how I screamed here, but I think I calmed a bit down now. But yeah, it was quite clear that the undercut is pretty powerful, and as soon as I saw Fellison go in, I knew it was the right time to pit. And we undercut the front runners. Fellison with a big undercut. I think he had a mistake, somewhere turn 3 or something like that. But yeah, I really didn't expect to get passed by Gianpai, because he was fast and overtaking is really difficult. So yeah, I was happy he made the mistake, and I really got the feeling I get John in the last lap, but yeah, I wanted a bit too much, I think.
Yeah, there was like a slight lockup or some sort of mistake. Maybe John Meister also disconnecting somehow in that moment. How was that turn 1 for you? Because the camera was like shit as always. Thanks, Cody's. So what was like, you were past, there was no like real attack from Andy coming behind, and you also got the DS from John Meister because you closed up to him on the last lap. So how was that like turn 1 from your perspective? Where were the cars? And then what happened? You just got on the throttle too early and spun by yourself, or how was that?
Yeah, I think he locked up, and it really catch me off guard. So I tried to take a tighter line to get past him, but I had too much wheel input, so I lost it when I was too early on the throttle. So yeah, that was a reason. I just wanted too much, and I knew it was the last opportunity to get past. At the end, I should wait. take the P2, or I think he had a penalty also. So yeah, it was quite idiotic, but it is how it is, and it was a fun race, and I am really looking forward to rewatch it.
Yeah, turn your volume down because I screamed as well. Next up is Belgium. One thing about racing, and we are heading into the second out of 3 parts in this season. Obviously, Austria was quite a downturner. You just crashed out early on, and you had no chance of getting anything good off there. Canada, you came back, had a good fight, no penalties, had a good qualifying position. Tonight as well, you were in the mix with the top guys and also fought for it at the end there. Belgium is next. How do you bounce back from these races now? Because there's like a chance for you to like cling on to that top position maybe of the best of the rest once again, and like you showed us last season in the later stages, consistency is key to get in those positions to capitalize over faster drivers' mistakes. You are faster now, so that should be easier, no?
I'm not sure. I mean, Belgium is a longer track, a longer lap, and I think we don't have this tight racing like we have today in Hungary. I think Belgium we will split a bit more up, and I think as usual, Critical will take his pace and will control the race. And I think Hungary was one of the races we could get him, and he did. So congrats to him. Congrats to the rest of the podium. Good race, guys.
Okay. Yeah, looking forward to what the next stage of this season is going to bring. Thank you very much for that interview, and good luck to you next time. If you enjoyed this and this wasn't dramatic enough for you, then please join me in 7 days' time again for the Belgium Grand Prix in Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium, and we will see who can, or if any, challenge Critical once again if there's more upset and more drama in this league. And if you want to see this next time, then make sure to leave this channel a follow. Watch the VODs of the previous races on YouTube if you search for Sim Racing Heat. And until next time, have a good one. Ta-da!